Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 16:28. In my room, if I do say so myself, you start to look like a studio more and more for each and every day. I mean, there's guitars there's one guitar over there's an amplifier, there's a violin that you can't see. There are, well, two pair of drums, there is a piano, there is, or a keyboard I might say. There's an electric guitar, a guitar case, and this new thing that I bought quite recently, which is kind of the best actually. I mean, it's so light. I can wait with one arm with no problem, right? I can have it on my straight arm. And this is just to have, scores and music on music sheets, which makes it so much easier to operate because, well, usually I just sit down on my bed and I play with the guitar and I'm having my tablet up and I'm having all of the things on it. Now I can just have my tablet on this and it works perfectly fine. It's the best. Well, it's not what the entire video is going to be about though. Today is going to be a bit about a chill video. It's going to be a laid back Sunday video. Why? Well, because I have other more important things to actually take care of. Not that I'm prioritizing away YouTube in any stretch of the imagination, except that, well, yes, I do. But this is not going to be one of those, oh, I need to take a break. It's important to take a break. I'm going to emphasize the point of actually taking a break once in a while, because I do believe that that is the case, but I have already done it. And one can argue as well that if I'm just going off now, after a few minutes, going back to the thesis works, and I'm just beating that horse for an entire hour extra, right? It's eventually would stop spitting out money, am I right? So I thought the more time that I lay on this making this video, or at least a reasonable time, will give me enough, or rather a sufficient pause from the thesis work to create some perspective, right? So, well, I thought, why not just take a little bit of a chill break? And what I estimate to be a bit of a chill break is that I encountered a debate. I went outside, not that that's an uncommon occurrence, I do that all the time, but the weather is so good. I ate the first apple this year, was so good as well. Listened to some music, I'm just gonna see what it was called, because it was extraordinarily good. It was called Boys in the Street by Kurt Hugo Schneider. Amazing, give it a listen, mates. I totally recommend it. Anyway, had a bit of a look on a 2-hour debate as well, on what I think is Monk Debate, which was sponsored by Bloomberg Media, Facebook, and somebody else. I believe that was, or it was just broadcasted by them. Could also be the case. I wasn't quite listening in the beginning because I was thinking about, this debate is going to be about this topic. I wonder how they're going to go about it. And you might wonder, what topic? What topic did you indulge in? Or rather, why did you even watch a debate when you were having a bit of a chill time? Well, because I truly believe that that's a bit of a treat, Some people go and see the Late Late Show. Some people look at comedians and stand-ups on YouTube or whatever you have it. I'm more of a debates guy, right? Quality most of the time, and at times, they tickle some ribs. They tickle some ribs with some opinion. Not that you should laugh at everyone's opinion, but sometimes they raise it in a way that, in the context, presents it as funny to the audience. At least I would argue that it do. And they were talking about political correctness, a real treat if I do say so myself, which was amazing. And I'm not really going to go into the entire discussion more than, well, I was right. Isn't that a good way of starting, talking about political correctness in a debate, saying I was right? But what I'm saying I was right about is not necessarily about the debate. No, what I say I was right about is that this debate that just elevated that it was a bit of a treat for me was that Jordan B. Peterson and Stephen Fry, two people that I look up to, two intellectuals who have very different values and ideas about different opinions and standpoints, politics, and so on and so forth. At least that's my, my opinion about, or my perception of them. We're on the same side in the debate about political correctness. And I was just thinking, man, here I am trying to avoid confirmation bias by looking at two people who have very different opinions and different values, but do seem to argue in a very similar way that I kind of like. And now that we're kind of on the same side of the debate, and I was just like, oh man, is it conformity bias or is it not? I mean, does it really count? I don't know. Isn't it just about their opinions, really, when you think about it? Anyway, matters less to the entire discussion that they had, or, well, it kind of actually didn't. It was kind of a vibrant discussion because those two people were on the same side of the debate, going up against, let's see if I can remember, Michael Dyson, which I didn't care for that much. I mean, he was a good speaker, which he could use the language, right, the English language in a way that was applicable to most of the audience, I would say. I don't know who was in the audience, but I think that he appealed to a broader audience with his language in comparison to the other people that were there. And then it was also Michelle Gordon. I don't know. I've never seen either Michael Dyson or the other person that were there. I'm just gonna see if I can pronounce her name right, so I don't get everything wrong here, because well, that just be horrible. So it was Stephen Fry, Jordan Peterson, Michael Dyson, and Michelle Goldberg. Yeah, that is how it was. And this is probably a bit of a thing that I'm going to be talking about over the upcoming days, because well, political correctness seems to be, in my opinion, right, social convention. What are we talking about at the moment? As of last week, the week before that, and probably moving into this week, and might even gonna be next week as well. Well, it's probably going to be a lot about social convention. So I'm just going to start with today giving a bit of context to why I haven't made a video about political correctness to begin with. And there are actually a few reasons, right? First of all, I firmly believed that political correctness was something that, first of all, I didn't quite understand that much, but now I've been putting myself into the shoes of the concept a bit more, right? So I've been looking into the concept a bit, and now I'm having a bit broader of an understanding of it. Not the broad understanding, but broader than I did previously. And, well, I basically came to the conclusion that political correctness is such a broad and a slippery term that can be applied to so many different things depending on context and especially depending on who is talking about it, right? That is kind of hard to clearly define what it really is. Some people say progress, some people say hindrance, some people say that it's the devil's work, other people say that it's the, pushing down, I don't know, minorities. Other people that say that it elevates minorities. I don't really get it yet. I'm going to put in a bit more hours into it. But that is one of the reasons, because I've never truly understood what political correctness really was, or really is at the moment, because I haven't even looked into it that much yet. So I was thinking that, well, that's one reason why I don't really want to go out and make an entire video about it. Not that I'm, a stranger to just vocalizing my opinion, because I think that I have something to add, even though I might not have all of the facts straight. I can admit that, right? But this is one of those things that seems to be so, what you say? Actually, discussing political correctness seems to be one of the things that are against political correctness, so that political correctness kind of hinders. That is also why I didn't want to do it, right? Even though it's just my opinion about the specific topic, right, that I do all the time about other stuff, it felt like this particular one, I kind of wanted to have my facts, maybe not straight, but a bit more straight than usual. So that's one reason. Or 1.5, I guess. The other reason was that, as I said before, I firmly believed that political correctness was introducing more good than it did bad. And then I was thinking, well, if that's really my standpoint, then what am I really going to discuss here? Because I assume, right, from my social circle, from the context of my perspective and of how I've grown up and the people that I've interacted with, it's all I really can explicitly say, right? I can only discuss what I've encountered in my life. I'm saying that, or well, I would like to argue that most people share that, that statement that political correctness is something that is good. However, it can prohibit some discussion, but ultimately it does more good than it does bad. However, after watching this 2-hour debate on, mock debate, I came to the conclusion that, well, I'm changing my mind about the entire topic. I think that political correctness might actually be bringing in more bad stuff than it does good, which was kind of interesting. And yet again, introduced me to thinking that, well, maybe I should actually talk about this, because I took several notes during my time watching the debate, and I was like, this is good, that is good, that's amazing, that's really good, right? So, might be talking about those things as well. And just to end here, because this is going to be a rather short video, because, well, I had really no reason more than I'm going to go back and do thesis, because boy do I need to. Maybe not that I really need to, but it feels like I need to. But I'm just going to mention a few highlights from the debate, and you can find the debate. I'm going to link it in the description below if I haven't already said it, and otherwise you can find it on Jordan Peterson's YouTube channel. But I'm just going to mention a few highlights. The first one is, almost at the turn of the hour, so 59 minutes and 30 seconds in, when Stephen Fry were talking about politics and not political correctness. the right are not succeeding and shortcomings of the left, the left political view. And I know that this is going to be a politically charged video, and the upcoming videos in the week is also going to be very politically charged videos, and that's not how I wanted to come across. I don't want to come across like I'm taking any particular side when it comes to politics, either left, right, or center. I'm discussing this from just a common understanding and common sense point of view. I do not want to be associated with any political party, right? So I thought it was kind of interesting how they were discussing it in terms of left and right, whilst I was just sitting there and thinking like, I agree with them in that sense and them in that sense, right? Not because there were parts of any political party or any political movement, just because, well, that actually makes sense, and how you raised this in that context also makes sense, even though you were describing it from two different political views, so I can agree with both. Anyway, probably matters less, but I thought, why not just raise it? The other one is in 1 hour, 4 minutes and 5 seconds, when Jordan says, that's what you would say. And Michael Dyson then said, how unindividualistic of you. And I was like, well, yes, wasn't that individualistic when Jordan was, or rather when Professor Peterson was relating a statement previously stated by Michael Dyson, and Michael Dyson was like, or at least I took the perception that Michael Dyson was thinking that, you're actually talking about me as a general, not me as an individual. And I was like, well, isn't that what Peterson just did? Anyway, you should watch it. I thought it was pretty good. The other one is at 1 hour, 3 minutes and 45 seconds just before, when Peterson were kind of discussing the idea of white privilege. Like, because Michael Dyson was kind of, I wouldn't say throw it directly in their face, but kind of presenting his point of view in such a way that, well, you have white privilege. And Jordison was maybe raising the point that, well, if I have white privilege, how do you argue that we get rid of this? Or how do you argue that I compensate for this so that I don't have to have this constantly shoved in my face all the time? Which I thought was a brilliant comment, because it's something that most people just take up, white privilege, for instance, but they don't really address how do we solve it? How do we get rid of it? How do we make sure that this isn't a case moving forward? How do we solve this issue with this being a privilege in the first place, right? Which I thought was really interesting, because they didn't seem to have any form of answer to that. Actually, Michael Dyson had a rather poor answer, I would say, but that's up for you yourself to argue and see for yourself your own interpretation. The next one and the last one is at 1 hour and 29 seconds. 1 hour and 29 minutes when Fries responds, and the quote from Oscar Wilde. Yes, he was kind of discussing the idea. I'm not even going to try to re-engineer what he was saying. You should totally go and watch it. It was something along the lines, but not exactly, that we should be viewing people's opinions and be able to discuss them without judging them. I think that was the core message, but yet again, you should go and watch it to get it exactly right. And I'm just pulling it from my mind right, so it could be that, well, my phrasing is wrong. Anyway, mates, that was everything for me today. Rather short video, actually, in comparison to what we could potentially make of this video. This could be like a 2-hour debate, me going back and forth with myself, because I have so many opinions about what we're talking about. But that's probably something that we might explore in the upcoming week, starting Monday, and that being tomorrow. So, without further ado, mate, sounds like I'm going to introduce something else. Have a nice one, and I'll see you tomorrow with perhaps a bit of political correctness. See you, mates.